Each year, the ATO reveal their hit list for tax time. They've just released the 23-24 tax time hit list, and I'm here to explain it to you and give you my best tips on how you can best avoid your chances of getting an audit. Let's jump right into it with the first one, and it is work-related expenses. This is on there every single year. They're always going to be focusing on who is claiming work-related expenses and are they getting it right. In fact, over 8 million taxpayers claimed work-related expenses last year, and half of them claimed work from home deductions, which was an area they changed, especially when it comes to the fixed rate method. So this is in their sights this year, making sure people are getting that right. Besides all of the rates and what was included, etc., one of the key changes was how you tracked your hours. And you now need to actually come up with the actual hours you work from home if you're using this method. This means you can't just average and go, I work 5 hours a week from home. They want to actually log to go, how many hours did you work from home? So this might be by your calendar or timesheets. Now this is very simple. For instance, if you work from home every single day and you work a 38-hour week, you can probably just look at how many hours did I work across the year, and it's easy. But for people where it varies, you want to keep some kind of log to show how many hours did you work from home throughout the year. We also need to make sure we're hitting the 3 golden rules when it comes to claiming a tax deduction. So the first of these is you must have spent the money yourself and weren't reimbursed. So you need to have actually spent the money and can't have been reimbursed, because otherwise it's not a tax deduction. So this means that if you go out and spend money, but your employer gives it back to you, you can't claim that. Now the second one is the expense must be directly related to earning your income. And this is an area that ATO is super strict on. It is going to depend on the type of expense as to what you actually need to be able to prove this. But go and search up for your individual deductions and make sure you're relating to your individual work. And the third one is you must have a record, usually a receipt, to prove it. So it doesn't matter if you've gone out and you've spent that money and it was directly related to your work. If you've got no record to prove it, under an audit, that expense, it's going to get wiped away. So make sure that you are keeping your records throughout the year so that if you get an audit done, you've got the records to back up your claims. And of course, if your expense has a private portion to it, make sure you're adjusting for the private use portion of it. The second area is inflating claims for rental properties. So again, the ATO do focus on this quite a lot because they know it's an area people typically get wrong. And the area a lot of people get wrong is in relation to what is a repair and maintenance or what is a capital expense. So this is going to depend on the item. What is great is the ATO release a rental property guide every single year. So I use this myself when I'm doing returns for clients. If I can't remember which item falls into which category, I can do a quick search of the document, search the item and find out how should this be treated. Is it a genuine repair where we can write it off in this year? Is it a capital allowance where it'll be claimed over the lifetime of the asset? Maybe that's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. Or is it a capital works where it's going to be claimed over a lot longer period? You want to get this right because it's an area that ATO quite often can pick up very easily, because if your repairs and maintenance is high, you'll typically get a flag that says this area is high. I've had it for clients before that have lodged their returns and we get the question and we have to go back and explain how we come up with that repairs and maintenance claim. So get this right, and if you're not sure, go and ask the ATO, do some research, or ask a tax agent. Beyond that, you can only claim costs for a rental property that is available for rent. This is definitely an area people go wrong. So if your property isn't available for rent, you can't go ahead and claim all the costs. So make sure you get that right. And of course, if you're using your property for private portion at all, then make sure you're adjusting for that. So especially if you've got holiday homes or Airbnbs, get that part right. Now, something else that you can get right is subscribing to my email newsletter, because I drop tax tips every single week throughout the whole year, but especially during tax time, you're going to get those tips on how you can best maximize your return. And of course, all these things that the ATO are highlighting that can put you in the best chance to avoid an audit or give you the confidence you're going to pass an audit. I'd love for you to join up. The link is in the description of this video. Now let's look at the third one, and it is failing to include all of your income, and in particular when you're lodging early. A lot of people rush out to get their tax return done. I know that there is a huge amount of people that lodge on the 1st of July, and definitely in those first few weeks of July, a lot of taxpayers are lodging then. They want their refunds. I understand it. But if you get it wrong, is it really worth rushing? The ATO say that if you lodge in early July, you double your risk of getting your return held up because the ATO discover you've got other income you haven't included. And this is typically things like interest, dividends, or government payments. So you want to make sure that you've got all of that information before you lodge your tax return, or it's just going to hold it up because the ATO will then get further information and it will slow down the processing. And here you are thinking you're going to get your refund early, and instead you actually get your refund later than someone that just waited to get it right. The other key area you want to wait on is making sure your income is tax ready, especially really early in July. Your income needs to be marked as tax ready by your employer before you lodge. Now, the way it works is it's under a single touch payroll system. So if you actually go onto your MyGov account now, you'll be able to see the income that you've earned year to date. But you don't know when this is last updated. Maybe your employer hasn't filed their last pay run for the year, and therefore your finalized data isn't actually there yet. Now, once it's marked as tax ready, you can have the confidence that, yes, I can now use this information in your tax return. Now, obviously, you need to wait until all of your taxpayers have marked themselves tax ready, not just one. There are a range of other things that you can do prior to tax time to put yourself in the best position to maximize your return. In this upcoming video, I'll go through my 5 key tips for individual taxpayers on what you should be doing before the 30th of June. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'd love to see you over there.